mine. That was my biggest.
And we're live.
We're live, and we're talking about my amazing technological skills.
Dude.
I have created an Egg the City video that, I mean, I'm thinking it's Oscar worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you seen some of the videos that won Oscars? I feel like mine could compete with some of them.
I mean, I haven't, but I feel like theirs are also 2 hours long. But in the terms of social media Oscars, that may be a contender.
I mean, I believe it is. Speaking of Egg the City, I'm going to put a plug in for Egg the City this week. It is Saturday, rain or shine, and it looks like the rain is going to go away before the event. I think, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, I've looked repeatedly over the past, I don't know, every day.
Where are we at today? I haven't even looked.
Like yesterday, it moved to where like rain was going to be like 3 to 5, 70% chance. I checked this morning, 50% chance, but it's noon to 3 again, or midnight to 3.
Okay, yeah. Either way, I think it's gone by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we're
might
good.
get a little wet and muddy, setting up. But for the people coming,
Absolutely.
and we can continue our streak of how many years have we not canceled? All of them.
Well, one we canceled.
We canceled
COVID.
COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for weather.
Oh, for weather, never.
For weather, never. We have battled wall clouds,
Yeah.
and but we've never actually moved it. This was probably the closest year I've gotten to moving it. But we're expecting in the thousands of people to show up on Saturday and have a bunch of eggs, and you are leading the charge on that. Are you ready for the event to be over?
Yes. Yeah. Every year, and I'll continue to say it, I just don't think we should do it next year.
Yeah, but after you get out there, what's your favorite part of Egg the City?
My favorite part? Honestly, man, it's a tough one. I actually really enjoy watching the bunny sack races. And honestly, it's watching, like, I interact with a lot of kids. And that's probably the best part, is that I get a chance to interact with kids.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, I like to walk, I'm one of those who gets the opportunity to walk around and poke at people and make jokes and laugh. And I don't know, I don't ever feel like anybody's having a bad time. We did one year have a lady who brought her dog to come trick-or-treat, so that was a new one.
Well, trick-or-treating and
or not egg hunting.
See, you're so in the holiday mode right now that you're getting them confused.
It's all mixing together. But what's new?
Exactly. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be a fun event, and so if you got kiddos, have them come on out and.
Or if you have puppies.
Or puppies, apparently.
Yep. Yeah,
puppies.
we had
all the eggs you could possibly want.
It was a really funny one to watch. But yeah.
That's all I got about Egg City.
All right. Well, wow.
There's my plug, and I didn't have a segue.
Oh, well, I do have a game for you to play.
Oh boy.
As always, this one it's higher or lower.
Higher or lower?
Yeah, you're responsible for guessing higher or lower. And I figured this one would be great for audience participation as well, because they're welcome to guess higher or lower.
Higher.
There are a few rules. You can't Google it, so can't Google it, so you just got to be honest. We're going to play the Honest John system here, and so...
Hey, before you ask me the first question,
yes.
Last week we had some YouTube viewers that were commenting. How do I find that?
See where it says Back Row Pastors right there, and it has the live button?
There we go.
There you go.
Let's turn down the volume.
You see on the right side where it says chat?
Okay, there you go.
See?
Perfect, look at that.
And then on the bottom left, you should be able to see how many are watching.
We're ranked. We are a ranked podcast.
I actually haven't looked to see where we are.
Yeah, I never look at that.
I don't know. But I'm sure we are ranked for sure. But
we're ranked. We may be last, but we ranked.
But, yeah, Hey, A&M would be great for being last.
Yeah, all right. Let's go back to the higher or lower.
Higher or lower.
Higher or lower.
Yep. And like I said, our audience is welcome to participate with us. Our first question, higher or lower? So here it is. Mount Everest is 22,530 feet tall. Higher or lower? Mount Everest is 22,530 feet tall.
I feel like Mount Everest being one of the tallest peaks. I feel like that's. I feel like Mount Everest is higher than that.
Going with higher.
I'm going with higher.
We got Hunter saying it's higher as well.
Hunter saying it's higher. All right.
Any lowers?
Any lowers? No.
Yeah, probably not. The answer is it's 29,031 feet tall. So yes, higher is
higher.
correct.
Look at that. Look at that. We're on it.
You're on it today.
On it like Donkey Kong.
All right, here you go. Next question. An apple is 90% water. An apple is 90% water. Ooh.
I think that's too high.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go lower.
Mm.
I'm gonna go lower.
Higher or lower? An apple is 90% water.
Hunter agrees with me.
Well, of course he does.
It's lower.
Of course he does. See, he's got that brown nose going.
Ah.
The answer is 84%.
So
lower.
again, I am correct. I am the most genius person I know.
You might be.
I'm
you
2
might
for
be.
2.
So higher or lower? All right. The Earth is 73 million miles from the sun. Higher or lower?
I believe
73 million miles from the sun.
I believe that's too low. I think we're further away from the sun than that. So I'm gonna go higher.
No. I mean we got Rob saying lower. Wait, and then let's go. All right, so
Hunter and Rob are going against me here.
The Earth is 73 million miles away from the sun. Higher or lower? It's 93 million miles away. So higher.
Again, I stand.
Once again, 3 for 3. 3 for 3. All right.
Yep, Hunter, you should have stuck with me, buddy.
Here goes.
Aren't you a teacher or something?
This is an interesting one.
Okay.
All right. On average, there are 5.1 billion Google searches made each day. On average.
That's an interesting one.
On average, there are 5.1 billion Google searches made each day.
Well, I feel like I Google at least half of that number. I feel like that's a low number. I'm gonna go higher.
I look at it and I go, that's a little lower than one Google search per person on the entire Earth.
I think that's a low number. Like this morning on the way in, while I was driving, I Googled at least 4 different things.
Oh. Well, let's see where we got. We got one lower, one higher. So on average, there are 5.1 billion Google searches made each day. Answer, 5.6 billion are made each day. So close.
It was
but
close.
Higher.
But higher.
5.6 versus 5.1.
So what I hear is I'm 4 for 4.
Yeah, you actually are.
I'm 4 for 4. I hear I am the smartest man that I know.
All right. 6.5 million photos are uploaded to Instagram each day.
Well, I feel like the Kardashians and Jenner get that by themselves, so I'm going to go that's a low number. I'm going to go higher.
6.5 million photos are uploaded to Instagram.
I think that's actually a really low number. Like, it would shock me if that's not high.
I feel like when I was looking this up, I think they had a typo in this number.
Yeah.
Because the answer, I go, that is such a huge difference.
Uh-huh.
The answer is 95 million photos are uploaded to Instagram. And I think they meant to say 65 million, not 6.5. But I double checked it, and it said 6.5 million was the higher or lower. But so 95 million, so higher.
So higher. So
higher.
I'm correct again.
However,
my reasoning behind that is I grabbed my son's phone the other day, who has Instagram, and I was scrolling through it, and the amount of that's how they communicate.
Oh yeah.
The amount of pictures that they just randomly send each other. There's very few words. It's just pictures. Like I don't get it. And then there's this new one called Be Real.
Oh, is that the one that records you while you're doing the?
While you're doing something,
whatever.
and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be more real and authentic, not the airbrush, all
sure.
of that world. And and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, good. I mean, like I'm telling you, my son got half that number.
Oh yeah.
That's why I think that
believe it.
number's really low, because
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the amount
Yeah.
of pictures, the way they communicate now with pictures is,
I'm about 90% sure they did not mean to add the period.
yeah.
I think they meant to say 65 million.
Yeah.
But,
That sounds, because for it to be that drastic of a difference, 6.5 million, they probably get that in a couple of hours.
Yeah, I would think.
I mean, that's,
I don't know. I guess if it's 95 million, that's close to 95 million pictures. That seems like a lot, but I mean, at Egg the City last year, I think I took 4,000 pictures.
well, you got to think there's 365
That was
plus
2
million
hours.
just in America.
Oh, sure.
And
that's
I
it.
would be curious
Oh,
to
that's a
know
good point.
how many people are active on Instagram. So if you got 365 million people and you said half of them,
Oh, sure. Well,
and
I have.
everybody posted one picture a day, you'd be
I
over
mean,
the 6.5.
I have Instagram, but the last time I posted a picture was like 3 years ago.
I post on Instagram, so it'll kick over to my Facebook.
Oh,
Because
sure.
really, my audience target's probably on Facebook more than they are Instagram. But I
I'd
posted on
probably
Instagram.
agree with you on that. Yeah.
I've got an older audience. So.
All right, this is our last question.
Last one, and right now I'm 5 for 5.
Higher or lower? This one's an interesting one too. 1 billion Coca-Cola drinks are served each day. Higher or lower?
$1 billion.
1
Wow.
billion Coca-Cola
Oh.
drinks are served each day. Higher or lower?
It's got to be Coca-Cola. Huh.
Coca-Cola drink. Well, it says Coca. I guess I don't have the context on this one. It says Coca-Cola drinks. 1 billion Coca-Cola drinks are served each day.
I feel like that's
Higher or
I
lower?
feel like that's a trap question. I'm gonna go lower, but with an asterisk.
With an asterisk.
Yeah.
What are you, the Astros?
Yeah. I believe that. I believe that's a trap question. Absolutely, that's a trap question. And I'll explain it after. I'm gonna go lower on that one.
Going lower, we got Hunter over
and
here.
I'm gonna be right because of my asterisk.
We got, oh, of course, we got Hunter over here saying it's higher.
Uh-huh.
The answer. So the question: 1 billion Coca-Cola drinks are served each day. Higher or lower? Answer: 1.9 billion Coca-Cola drinks are served each day.
But see, here's my asterisk.
Yep.
It depends on where you're from. What do you call a Coca-Cola drink?
A Coke.
A Coke. So if we pull up,
Yep.
you and I are on a road trip,
Yep.
and we pull up to a gas station, and
Mhm.
you get out and you say, hey, you want anything? And I say, hey, grab me a Coke.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to get?
I'm gonna ask you what kind.
Okay. So that's Deep South.
Uh-huh.
Everything's a Coke.
Uh-huh.
So when you ask me 1 billion Coca-Cola products, if I'm going all sodas, like I believe Coke is all sodas, I would have gone higher. But if I'm going just Coca-Cola products and you're removing Pepsi and you're removing 7-Up brand,
Well, for sure.
and you're removing all those, I think it's
Yeah.
lower. So I think that's a rigged question.
I think you're probably wrong because I bet Coca-Cola can absolutely tell you how many drinks are consumed.
Well,
Each
is that include Mountain Dew, right? Because Mountain Dew's the number one soft drink out there, I believe. Correct?
I mean,
Am I wrong?
I'm not saying it is, but is Mountain Dew a Coca-Cola product? No,
Yeah,
it's a
which
Pepsi.
is my.
It's a
which is
Pepsi
my-
product.
Yeah. See, and so that's what I feel like that question.
You're just trying to hang on to it, and I mean, 5 out of 6. That's pretty good.
5 out of 6, not bad.
That's an A.
Yeah, that's an A. That's
So,
an A. It's
you know,
probably the highest grade I've ever gotten.
Hunter over here is at a 50%. So
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
that's he's an educator. He's just
Yeah.
guessing.
he's just guessing. A, B, C, or D.
A, B, C, or D.
Higher or lower?
You guess C.
There you
Always guess C. If you don't know the answer, guess C. It's how I got to college on my ACT test.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, I guess a higher or lower on your ACT, a score of. I'm actually not.
I'm going to give you a score, and you
Okay.
tell me higher or lower
All
what
right.
you believe I made on my ACT test. I'm going to give you a score.
All right.
I'm gonna say.
Well, what's the max score on an ACT?
I think it's 32 or 36. 32 maybe. 36. I don't know.
That could be one of our Google searches today.
Hunter just quit.
Well, that's okay.
He lasted longer than most of them. So.
Sure.
36. Rob says it's 36. All right, so I'm going to give you
Oh,
an ACT score, and you tell me higher or lower of what you believe I made. 25.
Higher
or
or lower? Well, you being an English guy, I would say higher.
You would say higher.
Yeah.
Yeah? Rob, what
I
you
would-
think? Higher
I
or
would-
lower?
I would say 27.
You think 27?
27. If I had to put a number on it, 27.
My ACT brilliance, I'm going higher or lower at 25. And Matt thinks I'm smarter than 25, which I appreciate.
If you would have said SAT, more math based, I would have.
Yeah, I never took
I would have
SAT.
shot. I would have shot lower for you. But
Yeah, you don't have to take SAT in Alabama to get into college.
No, you don't have to take SAT to get into college anywhere. But
Really?
no, you can take the ACT.
Well, then why would you take the SAT?
Well, if you're better at math.
Oh. Hunter's calling me dumb.
24.
Hunter's
Wow.
calling me dumb.
Wow. Well,
Rob,
he went from
very wise. Rob Wise, you like what I did there?
Yeah. Dun dun.
Well, Matt, I appreciate it. You will get a raise, and
Thank
Hunter
you.
will be demoted. Because Hunter thinks I'm done. However, Hunter is correct.
Really?
Hunter
Wow.
is correct.
I figured you would have.
I made
the
a
ACT.
23.
Mm.
And to your statement, you are correct. I made like a 29 on my English and my history side,
Yeah.
a 30 on one of them, a 29 on the other one. And then on math, I made a 13. And on science, I think I made a 6. I don't know what I made in science, but I just guessed the whole time. But it wound out being a 23, which you only got to make a 19. So I took it twice, and I made the exact same score both times.
And you just said it's just meant to
I'm
be.
like, it's meant to be a 23. So, yeah, I agree,
Um,
Patrick. Hunter's he called me dumb. I'm
Well.
going to take that now, and I'm going to be bitter about it for quite some time.
I mean, I think you should be.
Yeah, I think
I think you should hold.
I mean, it's Easter time. I should be bitter and hold a grudge.
Absolutely. I think you should hold resentment. I think you should. I mean, you get a 72-hour period at least.
Yeah, to where
So-
I can be bitter,
Yeah, you get to be bitter, and you have to fold your napkins.
and I have to fold my napkins.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. That's in
Awesome.
that 72-hour period. Whatever you decide after that, it's a new day.
It's a new day. All right. Well, I have until Easter, I feel like, before I have to forgive him. On Easter,
Well,
you
sure.
have to forgive everybody.
Is that the way it works?
Yeah, it's the way it works. You have to forgive everybody for everything on Easter.
Easter and Christmas are your forgiveness
Yeah,
holidays.
yeah. You can hold grudges. You have from Easter to Christmas, and then at the
It's-
candlelight, you have to forgive everybody, and then everybody that made you mad during the holidays and New Year's, you hold on to
You hold
until
on to them.
Easter.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
wearing white after Labor Day.
White after
you
Labor
know,
Day,
something like
absolutely.
that.
I'm gonna wear an all white suit for Easter. I think.
I would be really impressed.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
mean,
do a little Benny Hinn.
I did really appreciate the ability to wear shorts on Sunday.
Did you have shorts on Sunday?
I did.
There you go.
And you know how many people asked me about them?
No.
One. And she walked up to me and she goes, "Are you breaking the rules?" So, thanks for that. But yeah, I got to wear that. I did get a little judged because I was wearing a Buc-ee's shirt, and so
I did. I like that Bucky.
I had one guy look at me and go, "You're wearing a Buc-ee shirt in church." And I said, "Yes."
I was just poking it. I was looking at Hawaiian shirts for Easter,
Yeah.
and I was online, and I'm trying to find a specific Hawaiian shirt because my wife threw them away one
What?
time. Yeah, she's communist, but they're like, they're not cotton, but they're more like, it's not silk, but it's that satiny
Right.
feeling.
Yep.
Like those are the ones I like.
It's like just a hair of spandex
Yes,
mixed in.
exactly. And I feel like that I want to look for those, but most of them are like 100% cotton and all
Oh,
that.
sure.
And I'm like, I don't really want cotton. I want that. And so Cassie finally told me it was polyester.
Mm.
So I think I found me a couple of new Hawaiian shirts. I may pop one out on Easter.
Yeah, I will say when it comes to all cotton. The one thing that I like cotton shirts, when I like all cotton shirts, but the collars frustrate me because they always look wonky.
They do. They
Like,
look wonky,
and-
and
I'm not an ironing kind of guy.
I'm not either. And I can't stand the Hawaiian shirts that wrinkle.
Oh, sure.
And so I would rather just be able to hang it and forget it and
Yeah.
roll on. So I'm actively searching, but Easter is coming up, and it's going to be a big day. We're expecting
is.
a big day. We had probably pre-COVID numbers this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Getting there, creeping up on it.
I walked in there and went, I'm gonna have to move.
Standing room only.
I went, and I'm a back row guy.
Yeah.
Our 5'6" kids like to sit in the front row.
Oh,
but
they do. They're right behind me. But kudos to the 5'6" group. They
Good.
were singing their heads off
Yeah.
behind me. I enjoyed that.
Well, they keep fighting the youth for the one row. You know, it would be your stage left.
Yep.
But
yep.
on your right side, they keep fighting. But they get mad at me if we go long in Sunday school. So they go, oh
so
my
they
gosh,
want that front row.
they want that. They try. Oh man, they get mad.
I'm going to put some reserved for 5'6"
You
on
should.
that front row this week.
Absolutely.
Had a big attendance of youth. They had a good D now, and so
Yep.
we had a lot of youth there. And then just a ton of people. It was fun to watch, making me think 2 services on the horizon until summer. But I'm trying to hold out against that.
Yeah, I had one of the elders ask me about 2 services, and I said no. Don't do it.
Well,
Don't
you know,
do
in
it. Just
summer
wait
you're
it out.
going to dip.
Absolutely.
And so it's.
We know summer's coming, and
I mean, there's only 5 weeks of school left. I think.
yeah, it's weird.
That is crazy. That is just blown by. It's insane.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, and you're about to have what a senior coming up.
I am
next
gonna
year,
have a
so.
senior next year, and that's odd to me. I've got one graduating college in May, and I've got one going to college
Mhm.
in July, and then I've got one who will be a senior next year. And,
One moving up to the
one
middle
moving
school.
up to middle school. That's the one I'm probably most angst about.
Mm.
That middle school time
She-
is always something.
And well, she's kind of a scaredy cat, so.
She is, and she's a nerd, so she'll be fine. But they, I sit there and watch, segueing into a serious topic. The Christian school. I don't think we can have a podcast without talking about what's blasting on the news everywhere.
Oh, sure.
Again, he is. It's every parent's worst nightmare. And when I heard that, I was like, man. And then it was at a Christian school, usually, probably, I doubt many Christian schools have a resource officer. That's more public schools.
Oh, sure.
And from the video I'm seeing.
Well, even then, they don't, like the resource officer here, and well, I guess I probably shouldn't talk about it, but they have one resource officer for like 4 different schools.
yeah, that's
You know.
ours. We've got one for the whole campus, which is 3 different schools. Close, but,
Sure.
North side, we have a couple of sheriff's deputies that patrol that area,
Yeah.
though, so they're usually pretty close by. I appreciate that. But, I had to sit there and watch the video, and the doors were locked. I mean, they did all the right things. They just
Well, they even
blew
had
through the door.
They even had the double door
Yeah,
that everybody wants.
and you blow through the door with so now it needs to be, bulletproof
Nah.
door. And if the door's not there, they'll go through a window. I mean, I don't
Oh,
think
sure.
there's any way to totally secure it. I go back to saying this. How many combat veterans do we have?
I don't know.
Stick a combat veteran at the front of every school.
Sure.
And I bet you would find a plurality of volunteers to do that. And I think just a presence, most of these shooters are ultimately cowards, which is why they're going to a school.
Well, yeah.
And so if you put somebody at the front door, I don't believe that they would approach that as easily. But this young lady was obviously mentally disturbed, or this young man. I don't even know.
It was a lady.
It was a lady.
Used to go to the school.
Yeah, used to go to school. So you sit there and, and I hear everybody's snap jerk reaction. It's this, and you got to ban this, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. And I go back to this very simple statement. You could put all the stuff in place that you want. Criminals are going to find their way around it. But ultimately, what I believe is it's a systematic. It's a very systematic byproduct of not having. Matt's
Patrick.
showing me a great.
Yeah.
Is that polyester?
Well, it has his wife's face on it.
Oh my gosh, who is it?
It's Patrick Gregory.
Oh, there it is.
His wife Ashley.
I can't see the face.
Oh, it has.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I think it's systematic to,
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
culture. You know, another thing that's been blasted across the news, and I think they're one and the same, is there's a survey done. Have you seen the survey?
No.
That American, man, it's been
I don't.
on every news channel.
You know what I don't watch?
News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
smart man.
don't read anymore?
News.
News.
Yep. I'm telling you, we're going to come out
It's
with our
all-
own news station. It's going to be the PNN. Positive News Network. And all we're going to have is positive stories. Rainbows
Absolutely.
and puppies.
I mean, I do love puppies.
I love puppies.
I don't necessarily. Well, I like. Claire really loves puppies, and that's why we always get a dog. But I'm also one of those people who thinks you only have one good dog in your life, and I've had mine.
I've had mine. I've got two now.
Yeah.
And both
I have-
of them I have a love-hate relationship with.
Absolutely.
And then my daughter brought her dog, and I would, am I allowed to say drop kick a puppy on podcast? Because that
Well, I
thing
mean, you just
bit
did,
me
so.
not long after it came in. No, I mean, it's got the mouth the size of a goldfish.
Sure.
But the stupid thing come up and bit me in the calf. Dude, I about drop kicked that thing halfway across the county.
Well, you should.
Yeah, I should. I like my lab. She's a moron, but I like her. And then I've got a Chihuahua who I feel like if there is a dog that does not go to heaven, it would be a Chihuahua.
It's a tough one.
Are. She is a cuddle bug, but she will eat your pinky off. You know, so it is what it is. She's very protective of the kids, but
Sure.
but no, I just think what we're seeing on the news. So there was a survey that came out. It said Americans are, now this is over the span of like 20 years, Americans are less patriotic, less religious, and less prone to working.
Less prone to working.
Yes, I would have to find that survey, but it was like they don't value work, patriotism, or religion. They used the word religion. And so I sit there, and what that tells me is there's no moral foundation. Because even if you're not a God person, you still, patriotic. Or if you're not God or patriotic, you're trying to make a living and make it up the ladder.
Well, just
And-
think of when you drive through a neighborhood. Do you see the flags out anymore?
No, very, very few. And so that's where I go back. I'll see this survey, and then I watch this never-ending string of, crime and school shootings and evil. And I think one is the same. One's a symptom of a greater issue, and I think if you remove God out of everything, which we have, and I think if you remove the moral foundation of a nation, which we have, and I think if you remove hope, which we have, and I would go a step further and say that if you devalue life at the most innocent stage, well, you're going to devalue life growing up later in life. And I think all of that is systematic to we're just a nation that's moved away from God, and it's become evil, and evil is rampaging the nation. So,
Well, I think it boils down to, you like to say it all the time about the woman at the well, and it's go and sin no more, but there's this victimhood of woe is me, like no one loves me, no, none of that. And I think you're right in going, hey, if you come to Christ, it's about forgiveness and grace, and then it's about go sin no more. Like, come as you are, yes, go and sin no more. And I just feel like these young ladies and these young men who make those decisions to walk into a school, it's I hate it for our family, because after all this, every time it happens, Claire gets to have a fantastic discussion of, hey, what is our action plan for an active shooter?
well, sadly, you got to be reminded of.
And so, there's been times where she has felt really nervous and I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, but I think it comes down to this, these young men and women, for whatever reason, don't feel the love, and just go, there's nothing. How can I take these people to my level when they don't have to be at that level?
Correct. I could get into a very systematic, where the dads and where the
Absolutely.
parents, and I think all of it, plays into the greater issues that we're having, but everybody wants to blame superficial things and not
Sure.
really get to the heart of it. And I think that's what Easter's about. I'm really excited about this new series. I had a lot of feedback. I'm going to shift because it's a pretty negative, dark topic, but it's
The PNN.
the PNN, Positive News Network. But they, I think that, this last series resonated with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a lot of positive feedback with it, but I think,
Well, I think you have done a fantastic job of, I don't know, it felt like your funnel is, you start it wide and you're actually, it feels like we're heading somewhere. And I think that resonates with people. And going week 1 or week 2 of January to now, week 5 of March, you go, it's all building towards something. And I feel like that building towards something is coming up in this next series.
it is, and then you're going to kind of hit summer, and that's going to be a topical, which I enjoy that.
Sure.
Because it's more. We'll have some guest speakers come in, but it's we're going to call it hot topics, and rather than do the cow tipping, we're just going to let the congregation pick a topic. What topic do you want to?
Yep.
We know Revelation, the end of the world, is going to be 1 week, but
Sure.
I'm not preaching a 7-week series on it, and I may leave that one for you. I'll be at Big Stuff. You can preach on Revelation.
You want me to preach on that one? I got it. Hey, stop worrying about tomorrow and let's figure out today.
Yeah, if you got Christ, you don't have to read past chapter 4.
There you go.
I'm like, but the topical one will be fun. But at the end of the day, it's all leading back down to what is the role of the church, which again leads back to my comment about I think the funnel is what is the church supposed to look like in a increasingly dark, disturbed world. And so that's where we're landing, and with no excuses. And then how do you see yourself? And I enjoyed studying the life of David. Really enjoyed that. But now we're gonna jump kind of into. I'm not even really gonna. I'm gonna hit on Acts some, but it's not really in.
I was kind of
Acts.
wondering because you sent out in your email that it wasn't a chapter from Acts. It was from Luke.
Yep.
And so I went, okay, interesting.
I'm going to make this statement, and it will be a interesting statement. I'm curious of the feedback. I have a few guys in my world
Sure.
that I call on theological questions, and I am a huge believer. I was talking to a pastor the other day, and they were like, "Man, how are you guys growing? And how are you da da da?" And I said, "Look, dude, you got to shift style." I'm like. They were discussing how their church is dying, and they're arguing. They bought chairs, and there's a subset that wants to stay with the pews.
Sure.
We had that same argument 5 years ago. But I told him, I said that's just style stuff, man. I'm like that's not gospel. That's not foundational, biblical, theological. And so I've always said, church should be constantly changing.
Well, yeah.
Style. Like, we better not be doing 15 years from now what we're doing now, because there's a whole different generation that we're not going to reach, because you don't want to do what your parents did, period. And at the end of the day, if your parents wore skinny jeans, they're going to wear bell bottoms. I mean, there's only two places it can go, bell bottoms or skinnies. I guess parachute pants. I'm waiting on that.
You don't remember Jinko jeans?
Jinko jeans. Wow.
They weren't bell bottoms, and I don't know what they were. But
I don't know what they were.
I remember having Jinkos.
Well, we didn't have skinnies. We just pegged them. You remember pegging the pants? It's like you fold and then you roll. And it made them skinnies. But that's, I think that has nothing to do with anything. But I was talking to the guy and I was talking about style, how style should change. And so.
Well, I think when you say style, I feel like it's not style because when you're preaching, you're in the same style as Jesus was
Yeah.
in his teaching, right?
Yep.
It's more story based. It's culturally relevant
Mm-hmm.
to today, just like his stories were culturally relevant
Mm-hmm.
when he was there. And
I mean, I had a pastor, he was like, oh, you need to do expository, exegenual, blah. And I looked at him, I said, well, I'm just going to try to do it like Jesus did it, because
Sure.
it seems to be, but I'm going to make this statement. So I called a few guys, and I said, I'm going to make this statement, tell me what you think. And I made this statement, and all of them paused. And that made me go, ha,
you're
that's a great statement.
you either go, uh-oh.
Well,
or,
so I made this statement. Now, you'll remember this. I caught all kind of grief for it. I said that there are several theories. I am
oh, gosh, you're going this
yeah,
direction.
I'm going
again.
here. I'm going here. Like,
All right.
Jonah and the well.
Yep.
I am a guy, my style of preaching is I want you to go and discover for yourself. I can
Sure.
tell you about Jesus, but until you discover who he is, he's not yours, he's mine. So same with the Bible in general. I like to create discussion, and it's not foundational. When I do this, it's not on topics that are foundational truths, right? So case in point, Jonah and the well.
Yep.
How did Jonah survive in the belly of the well for 3 days? Scientifically, it's impossible.
Sure.
So you start looking at the theories. It intrigued me. And so I threw out 3 or 4 theories, and I pissed off a lot of people because they believe what their Sunday school teacher told them
Sure.
without question. It didn't negate the miracle. All of them would have been miracles of God. But I took what Jesus said about the Jonah situation, and nobody really wants to take time to study for themselves. So
Sure.
once you do, like I had several people walk up and they're like, dude, I thought you were so off base, and then I started studying it, and I'm like, huh. I'm like,
Weird.
it's not, it wasn't even an off the wall
Sure.
theory. It was pretty normal, and it's the one that made the most sense to me. And again, if it's not accurate, I don't care. It's not a foundational, like, you can't prove your way any more than I can prove mine. It's a theory. Like, nobody knows the miracle of God. Nobody knows, right? So, all of that to say, I'm making this statement. And it is, so we're talking about the church, Big C Church.
Big C
So
Church.
I'll ask you this, and I'll ask our audience here. I got Bunny on here, I got Rob on here, there's quite a few on here, but I'll ask this question. When did the church start?
Well, I guess you could say, well, I would think when Moses came down with the tablets is when this church started.
Okay.
Because they got to see God in the cloud.
Yeah, your Old Testament temple church,
Sure.
like old school church. Let me rephrase that question. When did the church as we know it, with Christ as the Savior, start?
Christ as the Savior start?
Yeah, so his church. I know we had the temples,
Well,
I know we
guess-
had religion in the Old Testament. The church as we know it today, which is based on Jesus, when did the church start?
If I had to say when the church started,
And don't try to think of what I'm thinking.
well, I would go. It's when Mary lost Jesus and he was teaching in the temple. That was probably the first church service.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. That was the
was-
very first church service. Of
Very
the
first church
and stuff.
service is he
I
got
like
to. He got to talk to the religious, and
Yeah.
they were all like, "Wow, you're really smart."
I like that. That's interesting. I don't think that's wrong. I don't. I like that answer. I didn't go back that far. But most people would argue that the church started when Jesus restored Peter. And he said, upon this rock,
Well,
I
I guess
will
that's a
build
good
my
point.
church.
Sure.
Right. That's where most people believe that the church actually started. And Peter, so if you look at the Catholic religion especially, Peter is their first saint or whatever they call it. But most people believe it was there. The church began at Jesus' ascension, and he left Peter to be the rock that the church would be built on.
Yep.
I'm making this statement. The church didn't begin with Peter. The church began with the cross.
Like,
Without the cross,
oh, sure.
you have no
You're saying crucifixion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe. And so rather than start in that moment of
Wouldn't it-
Acts when the church really, the church exploded in Acts, right? It was under persecution, and we see the beginnings of the church and the Pentecost and all of that. That is all in Acts. But I don't think you can really start talking about the church until you talk about the crucifixion. And so that's where I'm starting. So rather than start in Acts, I'm going to start in Luke. And then next week, so this week I'm going to talk about the cross.
So would Palm Sunday have been the first service?
Palm Sunday, yeah.
Mm.
Look, that's kind of what this
That's
this
before the
Sunday-
cross.
That's before the cross. But I'm actually teaching this is our Good Friday message, which lands on a Sunday. And then, so it'll be out of Luke, and then the resurrection will be the following. I'm going to talk about the rock.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever talks about the rock. We mentioned it. The rock was rolled away.
Sure.
So I may even title it Rock and Roll Jesus. You like that?
I love it.
It's clever. Anyway.
I can see the graphic now.
But I'm not even really going to hit Acts. I don't know that I'm going to hit Acts. I'll hit some of Acts and talk
Yeah, you
about a
can-
little bit about it. But after the cross and after the resurrection, and after I turn my phone off, that is Candace, and she is in fourth period. Hunter, go tell Candace I'll call her back. But I am going to talk about, I can go ahead and line it out. So I'm making this statement: the church should represent the cross. So we're going to talk about what are the characteristics of the cross. Jesus made 7 statements on the cross. I'm not going to hit all 7, but
Sure.
there's a few characteristics of the cross that the church should reflect. See,
Sure.
There's the domino.
Dun, dun, dun.
One of those, obviously, grace. My favorite sermon about the cross is the thief on the cross. You sent me something. Bob sent me something today. I'm already, like, thief on the cross is a huge part of my message Sunday. But and then I'm going to talk about the resurrection, and then I'm going to talk about what is the role of the church.
Sure.
And I think it is the most simplistic, and I'm not talking about the mission of the church.
Sure.
Because the mission of the church is easy. Go into the world, right? What is the role of the church? It's only 2 things. And we've turned it into 8,000 things, but as we so often do. Because
That's
we
what
can't
religion
stand-
does.
Well, we can't stand not totally understanding. When we try to put God in a box so we can understand Him, He's not meant to be understood. But that's why a lot of people have a problem with the Holy Spirit. But the church has, there's 2 things. There's 2 responsibilities of the church. There's only 2.
Only 2.
Only 2. And I don't know if responsibilities is the word for it, but there's 2 things that the church was tasked to do by Jesus.
Sure.
Salt and light.
Just talked about this.
Yep, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about salt one week, and we're going to talk about light one week.
I just, like, literally today, we just read the story of Salt and Light.
Really?
Literally
Over at
today.
the Word Academy?
Mm-hmm. We were talking about being the light of the world and how you can be a flashlight for people in darkness.
Ah. If I had the budget, I would go get everybody a flashlight. That's pretty cool.
Well, I just bought them all flashlights. So.
Yeah, those little Harbor Freight flashlights, but I'd have to buy 500 flashlights.
Yeah, it was.
I wish I had a flashlight.
I don't know
keychain.
if it was a good idea or a bad idea.
I'm sure
but
you're going to find out
as-
from Cindy later.
As we were, well, it was like an object lesson. And as we were reading, I said, "Hey, every time you hear the word light, I want you to flash it 3 times." And so,
Oh my.
yeah, that was we read in Corinthians, and we're in this study on creation, and so in the 4th day He created light and darkness, and how we were supposed to be the light, and so that's how He played it all together. But yeah, it was. I don't know if it was a good idea, or hopefully Cindy is okay with it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go look now that it's rattling in my brain and see if I can find flashlight keychains.
Oh, sure.
Just little cheap ones, like But I bet 4 Imprint has them.
Oh, yeah. I bet we could get 'em.
There's some
I bet we could get
sweatshop
custom
in
ones.
China that's making them.
I bet we could get some custom ones. Be the light, something like that.
There you go. That'd be fun to give out as kind of an Easter.
Yeah. Oh, that would be an
gift.
interesting. Well, you'd have to do 1,000 if you're doing Easter.
Nah, I'm not doing one Easter.
Maybe you
Inflation.
do it before. Well, I guess if we could do them, probably too late to get them by this Sunday because it would be a good one prior to Easter. Be
Yeah.
the light.
Be
Gonna
the
bring
light.
somebody, but
But that also wouldn't fit into my funnel. So
that's true.
that's probably going to be it'll be the going away present of the series.
Of the series.
Just say, hey, there we go. There, you're done.
Dun-dun-dun.
Done.
And this is how things happen at TWCC.
We speak them into.
We,
And I just saw a little eye roll there. Like, oh, God.
it just makes me. I feel like soon you're going to be like, "Hey, what do you think about doing some outdoor worship?"
Hey, Rob Wise could talk about that outdoor
Oh,
worship
yeah.
and how that all came to fruition.
Oh, I
It's
bet
like,
he could.
Got an idea. What do you think?
Started on a podcast, and now we're here.
And now we're here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, it is what
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, I think when you talk about, I'm interested in this series because I think when you talk about the Big C, obviously there's a wealth of letters to different churches
Mm-hmm.
that you can pull all kinds. I know people hit hard into Acts,
Yep.
but I look at it and I go like the Church of Ephesus and all of those things, and you go,
We could
Interesting.
be on the church for probably,
Oh, sure.
and I've even kicked around because we were going to do a series on miracles after
Oh, yeah.
that,
We
and I've
talked
kicked
about
around just taking the church out through summer and doing miracles in the fall. But I don't know. We'll see where we're at. It was pretty good. Pretty good. I think we've got a good plan for it. And I've looked at the worship set over the next month, and Cole has. I mean, it's going to be like night of worship every week. And I enjoyed this past week listening to our worship team sing "Same God."
mm-hmm.
I think it's probably one of my favorite songs now, and it has been for a minute. But I'm also a big Elevation worship guy.
Sure.
So
Sure, I'm ready for them to incorporate some rap, but
some rap.
I
I
have
don't
also.
feel like Elevation worship. That's their genre, but you know.
I have also I have been listening to on Spotify Top Christian Rock.
I heard you
and-
listen to that in the morning when I came in. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're listening to like some Christian Slipknot.
There's
type.
there's that, and there's this 80s esque like feel to a band that I go. I just want to introduce this to Cole and be like, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Just
It's
saying.
You know.
Yeah.
I am waiting on a Christian, and there's some of them that have songs that do it, like Cade Fleener and some of those guys. But I'm wanting a Southern rock
Oh sure.
Christian band, and I'm an '80s guy, so I mean I listen to AC/DC.
I'll have to send you this one I've been listening to lately. You'd enjoy. There's a couple of them I went. Scott would like this, but
Huh. Who
I
is-
try not to say it. Their name is Striper.
Oh yeah,
But-
yeah. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I'm a rock guy, and even on our worship team, I tell Cole, I'm like, I want 2 electrics. I want, you know, I'm a big rock guy. But at the end of the day, Southern rock is my favorite because it's not so aggressive, and you can understand all the
Sure.
words. Like there's some '80s rock that I'm like, whoa,
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
'90s rock even got more aggressive. Like '80s rock, so I can listen to some
Well-
GNR and AC/DC and understand the words. But you get into some '90s stuff.
Yeah, you went a
Dude,
little
grunge.
heavier, and I was a big grunge fan, and I really liked heavy metal, and so I listened to a lot of like. I kind of started with Korn, and like
Oh, yeah.
Metallica kind of did it, and then it just went from there. But I've always enjoyed.
We need to get the corn guy.
He would be great.
And I think we have an in there.
Yeah.
There is a lady that goes to our church.
Here comes Coffee House right now.
Yep.
See, watch it in action.
Yep. We're going to create Coffee House right now. Because I looked at John Christ, and I think he charges $25,000
Oh, yeah, I
or
bet.
$50,000 or something outrageous. But I wanted to get him and just interview him on his journey through his,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I
mess.
was really looking forward to the country music artist. What was
Yeah,
his name?
Coffee Anderson.
Coffee Anderson.
Yeah, so if Coffee's listening, I'm sure he's listening to our podcast.
He might be.
I mean, I've got a standing
may-
invitation.
We may just send it to him and just say, hey,
I have actually looked at the cost of renting the Bama Theater.
oh, sure. Oh, that'd be an
And-
interesting one.
Yeah, and taking
Well, you remember in Texas when we used to do one big service?
one big service outside of the
Yeah.
And so if Coffee Anderson's listening, I have a standing invitation, to come back. But I've looked at John Christ, but that would be interesting, that corn guy, because he has an I Am Second video.
Yeah.
And we have a lady in our church that went to the church in California. It's over in Bakersfield area or San Bernardino. I can't remember which, but he has an amazing story. And the pastor, I don't know if he still goes there, but they have a connection in there. And that's all you really need. To get these guys, you don't go through the agents.
Oh, no.
You got to find the actual person. The other guy I was looking at is Mr. T. But my mom made a comment. She said, Scott, nobody younger than like us is going to remember who Mr. T is, because he was an iconic 80s guy.
Clubber Lane.
I mean, if you've watched Rocky,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people wouldn't know A-Team, but
Yeah.
a lot of people have seen Rocky.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but he preached. He goes to a church in Chicago and he preaches. He's a big faith guy.
I bet.
And that would be fun. So I'm going to swing for the fences. We're still in April, so I can get some no's and still be able to.
Yeah, it starts now. So.
It starts now. Like, we're not even Egg the City, and I'm talking about Coffee House.
Yeah, we get through Egg the City, and then we start going, all right, Coffee House.
Coffee House. Well, I got a revival. I'm reaching out. I've got one guy I'm really trying to get. I want to get the guy from Alabama that spoke at our men's ministry.
Oh, yeah, he was good.
Yep, I think he'd be good. I got a guy from North Carolina coming who does a Harley Davidson ministry. He spoke at a CR, blowing through one time. So if I can get those three guys, I'm not going to name the other guy because I don't want to out him, but he's Navy SEAL. He's in Birmingham. He's a good dude. I've got a friend that knows him well, but he does the gospel by tearing apart an AR-15.
Oh, that's interesting.
That would be interesting. And then I'm going to try to get, what's that band Hudson plays in that...
Jackson Chase
for worship one night.
Well, that'd be interesting.
And that'd be fun. I'm just be like, hey, I need you 7-song set list. We'll do a night of worship type thing and have a speaker in there. So I'm going to try to blow out the revival.
We might have Claire knows his mom.
Yeah, well, she had said just call his mom. I'm like, I know his dad well, but I don't know his mom. So I may sit Claire on them and see if we can't lock them in one night.
Oh, sure.
But
I think his cousin goes to our church.
Yeah, his cousin. I mean,
Something
Hudson
like
plays in his band. I just ask Hudson, but see if I can lock him in that week. But that'd be an interesting. You want to talk about a breadth of stories?
Oh yeah.
The guy that played under Barry Bryant, the guy who's a Harley Davidson guy. Although I'm going to tell our congregation to strap in when that guy comes in, because he's a firecracker. I listened to his CR stuff. He was funny. But then and getting the Navy SEAL guy to come in would be fun.
Sure.
The other person I thought about for Coffee House was who's the sniper?
His wife.
Yeah, his wife. She tours and speaks
and
all of that. I've thought about. We've tinkered around with that.
We've
before.
talked about her before, but yeah, she requires a lot of security.
Yeah, we have a lot of security.
We do have a lot of security,
yeah,
but I don't know if
she brings her own.
I don't know if we have that amount of security.
Yeah, having her and the Navy SEAL guy at the same time, he could be her security because that's about
For
what
sure.
she requires.
For sure.
But so looking at that, but yeah, I'd love to put out to the congregation, who would you like to see at Coffee House on our Easter survey?
Well, that's an interesting
That's
one.
an interesting question. So the hot topic and who would you like to see at Coffee House? I think would be good.
And maybe there's somebody out there that I bet, we get a wealth of information from, and they go, well, they really do want to see this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Bob and Nancy were probably one of the better coffee houses we've had ever.
Every time I see him, I still crack up about banana boats and white bikinis.
Yeah, I just like that's one that resonates with me. Yeah. I feel like his, and I always liked Curtis's story. I felt like for the first year here, that was a great story. But
yeah, I would not have been here for that.
Did you catch him in Texas?
He came here and did revival once, and that's all.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so and then if there's I was trying to think through,
I mean, I have one that I
lady with a story too. Like,
I have one that I have one that I've suggested to you every year, but
who is that?
Justin.
Oh yeah.
But I think that would be an interesting.
It would definitely be.
It would be an interesting dynamic.
His wife just came and spoke.
It'd be an interesting dynamic for me to watch, so I could go,
Full circle.
Full circle,
Yeah.
fun stories.
Fun
And
stories.
yeah, all coming up. Yeah, somehow we have, I don't, when I walked in today, I was like, man, I don't know how we're going to make it the hour.
You didn't have nothing to talk about, huh?
I was like,
You're burnt, man.
well, it's
You gotta be burnt. You've been running like a chicken with your head cut off for a few
little
weeks now with the not coffee house. Where are we on? We're on East
Egg the City.
Egg the City.
Yeah, coming up Saturday. Yes.
That's a huge event, and you've done great on organizing that. And we'll take next week and relax. It slows down after Egg the City.
After Easter, but yeah.
I'm just messing
It
with you.
does. Well, I mean,
it'll
to be
slow down some.
to be
after Easter.
in our world, it will slow. It'll feel like it speeds up, but it does actually slow down. You say that, but people just they're not used to the pace, and so I go. It's not like. I feel like when you say it's slowing down, it's the guy running the Boston Marathon, like trying to win it.
Mhm.
Like he has moments where he's going to slow down, but his pace is still.
It's still
pretty-
heavy.
pretty
and
hectic.
I think for us,
And I think that's how it works in our world. So
post COVID, it's kind of like saying post 9/11. But I think post COVID, we're really gaining the speed back and the momentum back.
yeah,
For the first time since COVID. Obviously we had a glitch in there, but before COVID, I think this Easter feels more like that one.
yeah. I feel like everybody's rowing in the same direction, and that obviously helps you gain some speed and some things like that.
And I think everybody's getting into to invite somebody. Like
well, I think it's easier.
it is.
You know,
I think in a chaotic world, it'll be easy. And if you don't look like I've said it before, everybody deep south has done church.
sure.
You got drugged there by your grandmama, or you
Yep.
went to some revival, or you went to a youth thing, or everybody's done church. So what's the point of church? And
Yep.
that's where I go. Jesus did a great job, as he was authentic. And so yes, it can help you in real life if you create a healthy circle and you actually have steps you can take. I believe that church without application, you're just going to a class. And
Well,
we don't need any more class.
I think people look at next steps, and they go, it's Christ acceptance, baptism, and that's it. And realistically, there's so many more.
Oh gosh.
You
yes.
know, if you've never taken communion, that's a great next step.
Speaking of this week,
Oh, are we?
yeah, we're doing communion.
look at
It's Good Friday.
It's like a plug, but not.
plug, but
What-
not.
didn't even know that.
Big communion. That can
Could-
make a lot
could-
of people here.
You
We're
can
gonna
see
have
the
to figure
spirit
that
in
one out.
action right there.
Yep, I've got to add sheets, and we're going to unveil our new stage design this week. I think.
Now you're really speaking it
Now
into
I'm speaking
existence.
it into existence, because if I don't, I'll find a reason not to do it tomorrow. It's a project. I'm like, ugh. But I need to get in there and do it. So
Yeah.
tomorrow we're gonna jump in there, and we're gonna have a new stage set this week. A lot of exciting things
A
happening.
lot of pump.
It'll be
like,
fun.
We're coming up into that period where I feel like, in between January and about April is kind of a dry period, unless you're a woman. Because they have IF and they have the Tea Party, but I
gotcha.
go, it's a dry period for like men,
Yep.
But now we got beans, bullets, and barbecue, or beans, bullets, and bugs coming up in
Bugs, yeah,
April.
it's springtime, so it's the bugs.
Egg the City, Easter, which will have ice cream on Easter. So if you don't want to invite your friend to church, you can invite them over for ice cream.
Absolutely. And I think I'm gonna get some Krispy Kreme that morning too.
Oh, sure.
I feel like where Jesus is, there should be Krispy Kreme. Still
Yeah.
the best donut out there.
Well, even on his biggest sermons, what did he do? He fed people.
He fed people.
So
Your
go.
your wife, speaking of donuts, got to get her fix while in Texas. Did y'all
Yep.
eat Shipley's?
We
right?
did eat Shipley's.
Y'all are big Shipley's fans, and my wife
She is a big
too.
Shipley's fan. I'm a Dunkin' Donut guy.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yep.
That-
I'm a guy who appreciates choices, and Dunkin' Donuts has choices.
It does. It has more flavors of the donut holes
Oh yeah,
than anybody else. I feel like Krispy Kreme wins the basic.
yeah. They do one
Donut.
thing well, and they know it.
Yeah, their glazed donut, but like, man, they've been around for. I remember doing fundraisers for
Oh, yeah.
Krispy Kreme
Oh, yeah.
for baseball in Little League back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the '80s.
Oh yeah.
But I think they're kind of the groundbreakers of donut world. You're right. I believe Dunkin' Donuts has the most choices.
Yep.
Shipley's, I was never they're just kind of, I don't know. They're just another donut shop.
I grew up. My dad was a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts because they had a donut that had like a little gripper on it that he could actually dip in
Yeah,
his cup.
the dipper.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was
Yep.
like, "It's the best donut ever."
I remember
had
that.
a
The
little grip
donut
on it.
sticks, they were kind of like a stick.
Well, it was like a whole donut, but it had this little gripper on the side,
Ah.
and he could dip it. Like he'd take a bite, dip it in his coffee. I never liked coffee, so not growing up.
Yeah.
And I never get it, but yeah, he loved doing that.
Well, that makes me want to go get some Krispy Kreme for lunch. We're done.
We're
We will
done.
see
Yeah.
you Egg the City
Well, come on.
Saturday.
Groups tonight. Groups fuel tonight.
It's tonight, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh,
Groups fuel tonight. Egg the City Saturday. If you're able to come help set up, we got set up coming Friday, and yeah,
Palm Sunday, Sunday.
Palm Sunday.
Yep. With the Good Friday message and communion.
Good Friday communion. Lots of good stuff going on.
All right. Same
All
bad
right.
time, same bad channel. See you next week.